So let's talk about when to-do lists go wrong. So my name is Max. I run a SaaS called Foresight. It's a time management app, and I coach founders on how they manage their time regularly, week after week, and I've been doing it now for a few years. There's this kind of resounding reason why people end up hating their to-do lists. If you were to wake up today and say, all right, my house is a mess, I need to sort this out, is it better to just charge into that and just start doing things? Or is it better to write down a list of some key things that you want to get done and start from that top of that list? I think we're all aware that it's a great asset. Write down and order something into a list, a to-do list. I think the main issue comes from a gap that is created from your to-do list to reality. So a daily to-do list, when you wake up and you just write the list for the particular day, is obviously the most close to your reality as you can possibly get, because you've literally just written it and then you're going to start executing on it. But then you might have a much larger version of this when it comes to your company or other kind of larger things that you're doing with your life. So you might end up with many to-do lists. You might end up with column after column after column, and this might end up being hundreds of items. And so it becomes much more of a big thing to kind of organize and build structure and systems around. And structures really is needed when you get to that scale, especially when it's a business. And so there's lots of ways to do that. You can create a kind of a Kanban board structure, which is my preference. So kind of having a top priority list, second priority, third priority, and you might break it down by different factors. Like for example, with Foresight, we use emojis. I've got my ads agency, which is a money emoji. I've got a house emoji for my home related things. So you have all of these ways that a to-do list can be made more manageable by categorizing and ordering, etc. But I still find that there's another part which makes people actually fall in love with it. I call this time management hygiene, is the best way to describe it, because it's this act of continuously updating and rejuvenating those to-do lists back to reality. Let's just say I do an amazing ordering of all of my stuff I need to get done into to-do lists. I structure everything perfectly, but then I don't look at it for 3 months. Well, then these things will change. Life changes, things move on. We have different priorities. Maybe, your relationships have changed. Maybe your business has suddenly made loads of sales. So suddenly you don't need to think about sales anymore. And so if I didn't go in and reassess, well, then that board, I'm like, well, what is the point of this thing? It's ridiculous. It's just telling me that I should go and do loads of cold emails. And in fact, I know today I need to go and hire some new people into my agency or whatever else it might be that's going to solve that problem. So if your to-do list doesn't move with you, that gap makes it feel more and more alien. And I feel like that's a real present feeling in us, as we start to just have a disdain for that to-do list because we feel like it's just not correct. It's useless. It doesn't have value to us because it no longer represents what's really important to us as well. So ultimately, within Foresight, the way I deal with this hygiene is I have a week templating system where I build the kind of perfect week for how I live my life. And as part of that, I have an update the vault card. And this card is basically where I go and update this backlog of stuff I need to get done. That's what we call the vault. And so that is broken down into 3 main actions. Action number 1 is removing things that are completed. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff that you'll have just already done in your vault, in your to-do list. And then it's coming up with new things, like pause and think, what is the other stuff I need to get done? Remember to book the dentist, start looking into SEO, XYZ, whatever that might be, and then reprioritize. So stop and look at this new set of things that you want to get done in your life, whether it's business or personal, etc., and then reprioritize that. What actually really matters now? So these 3 steps is this hygiene mechanism I have in place, and I actually do that in a small way every 2 weeks. So we have a system where you can build every 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks a particular job like this, and then I have a much larger version of this, which is every 2 months, where I take an entire day to just stop and look at my vault, look at my to-do lists, and reorganize everything in a much bigger sense. Like really think what actually matters to me. What are my goals for life? What am I really trying to achieve? And make this kind of be pulled back to reality. And every time I do this, honestly, it makes me love my to-do list again. It makes me excited to go back and look at that each week and pick from that top priority stuff and pull it in and plan it into my week ahead. It makes me really enjoy all of this and switch that emotion to enthusiasm rather than kind of like disdain, which I think is built up when you don't look at your to-do lists over a longer and longer period of time. If you do enjoy this kind of content, I would love for you to subscribe. I've only just started this channel very recently, so I have nobody here yet. So I'm speaking to ghosts. But if you'd love to see more of this kind of stuff, hit the subscribe, leave a comment and let me know that you enjoyed it. And let me know what else you'd like to hear from this channel as well, as it's very new. So I'm very open to ideas. And I hope to see you in the next one.